Welcome to Recipes for Impact. This is a storytelling series that shines a spotlight on the incredible work of key leaders driving transformational change in smallholder farms and food systems around the globe. I'm Talon Say, and I'm thrilled to invite you into this space where you'll hear inspiring stories about projects that are making a real difference. Now, without further ado, let's welcome our guest. With 20 years of experience in agriculture and food systems, she has a wealth of knowledge to share about successful collaboration. For the past 13 years, she has been instrumental in growing a farmer-to-farmer educational resource network for new and young farmers called Young Agrarians. This network not only offers programs for free or by contribution to farmers from diverse backgrounds, but also humbly acknowledges the indigenous lands and territories these farmers work on, fostering relationships towards indigenous food sovereignty. I am delighted to introduce Sara Dent from Young Agrarians. Sara, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
We're so excited to have you. What inspired you to start Young Agrarians, to build that team and get that collaboration going? Like, why get involved in this?
I think I was really lucky. Young Agrarians has been a journey for me. People in the rural areas where I was going and where I was farming, farmers didn't know farmers, and new gen farmers were very lost because they didn't own land, they weren't coming in with a bunch of equity, and they were wanting to connect with people. And if you've hung out with farmers, you know that farmers will talk about farming for hours and days and months and years. And farmers really just want to go and network with other farmers. They want to connect. And the only way to get farmers off farms is to get farmers together with farmers. And so that basically all that led up to the inception of Young Agrarians and what we've been doing since for the last several years.
So I imagine there are many challenges. Could you share a bit on some challenges you faced along the way and the work that's been done to resolve those challenges?
I think the fundamental challenge in farming today is that the cost of land and production exceed what a farmer can earn on the land. So this has now been widely accepted in Canada. The largest lending institution in the country has indicated that we now have absolute market failure for agriculture. It means that farmers have to have off-farm income in order to farm, and that the profit margins in agriculture are very, very slim. But people are working so hard and they're bootstrapping. And a lot of these new gen farmers that are coming in, they don't have accessible capital. And in the province that I live in, British Columbia, we have been able to develop a robust set of supports because of these market failure conditions. Specifically, our provincial government, our ministry acknowledges that access to land is a major challenge for new farmers. There are some second, third gen farmers that do have access to like family estate wealth, but they also have multiple layers of complexity transferring that wealth. So it's not just like a simple plug and play scenario. So succession right now in the country, transferring agriculture to the next generation is the biggest problem. And people call it the great land shift. And then you have the new gen that are working that are just at the very beginning stages of their farming. They're driven in by their values. They want to do something good with their hands. They want to make the world a better place. They don't want to work in an office, and they want to grow food for their communities. So they're values driven people, but now they have to figure out how to access land, capital, and knowledge. And literally people need all the support that they can get right now.
I wonder if is philanthropy an answer here? Do new farmers need philanthropic investment? Like, what is really at stake here?
Mm-hmm. They absolutely need philanthropic investment, and it absolutely needs to be coordinated in the sector in order to make it effective. So when we're talking about impact investing these days, there are a lot of foundations that are trying to think differently about their investment portfolios. And that's where foundations could be doing some zero interest, 1% interest lending out into the community. So that's basically on the loan side. But on the capital side, if there's a way to support people through programs, wraparound supports, resources, you're helping to de-risk those new farm businesses through education. And that's where the philanthropic side of things can make a huge impact on the sector. A lot of these new gen farmers, if they can tap into an organization in their communities where they live, that organization can be a major nexus for supports, for networking, knowledge transfer, and can also have an impact on the policy and advocacy side to hopefully be moving some of the structural challenges along that can be improved with better policies. And when we're thinking about like Indigenous food sovereignty, some of the leadership that we're working with, they're having to choose and start up whether they're going to be running for profit or not for profits, because a lot of their mission and mandate is to support the food sovereignty of the people where they live. And so this is another avenue where philanthropy can be really impactful, is supporting that Indigenous food sovereignty, supporting the nonprofits that are out there that are doing the work in their communities. If we don't have those people and that land, like that demographic of people that know how to be on the land and be with the land and take care of the land and take care of our food systems, we're not going to have farmers in 20 years.
So what lessons could you give? What tidbits could you give on what successful collaboration looks like to, let's say, I want to get involved. I understand this crisis that's approaching. How do I do it? How do I work successfully with those that are already in the space? Where do they begin?
So philanthropists can reach out. And it's one of my favorite things, just talking to people about the sector and advancing people's knowledge and information about what is going on. So get in touch with the people that are actually making the change on the ground, and they will be so happy to receive you and work with you. And Young Agrarians wouldn't exist if we hadn't been able to pull in like collaborators and partners and donors. Like, we are so lucky to do the work that we're doing today. We have amazing philanthropists that see the vision, have enough analysis of the sector. And that's the piece. Like, the game changer is when someone feels connected to the food system, when they feel connected to their local farmers, when they see that they can actually make an impact and that their money is creating impact in the sector, that more people can now grow our food for us for the future. That's the game changer.
How do you measure the impact that you've had on new and emerging farmers, on smallholder farms?
I love this question so much because we are obsessed with evaluation and impact. And um, for me, is the testimonials that we get from farmers, and we get them pretty regularly, and they make me tear up, and they tell me that we have had an impact on an individual, and that is so important for me mentally. But on the evaluation side, we have had to figure out over the last dozen years how to evaluate farm renewal. And so we have something called the farmer journey. So we look at people from the farm curious to the people that are in startup to whether they stay in business after year one. We have these really rad business boot camps that we offer people so they can come and write their business plans together. We do educational events year round on and off farms. We're at a bunch of the farm conferences doing outreach, but we're on farms with the farmers in our network, bringing the community together on the farm to go learn from the land. And then we have an on-farm training program. We're supporting people to get onto their first farms and have their first jobs. Then we have the land matching work that we're doing. So we're actually working with people who hold land and people who need land, and we're helping to pair things up. Then we have a B2B program, which is a mentorship program. Farmers who are established, mentoring new farmers that are in startup. And that is a beautiful, beautiful program. And then on the back end, we have a database. So this is how we're evaluating that grow a farmer strategy that we have developed over the last dozen years, and how we're also interfacing with government to support them to develop strategy, to be able to actually see impact and what we're calling again farm renewal.
Sarah, I can't thank you enough for the knowledge and what you've shared today. I feel incredibly inspired. I'm sure our listeners will also. So, once again, a heartfelt thank you to you. Thank you to our listeners, our partners, our teachers, and our community.